Aloha everyone, this is Leimomi Keliikuli, Intuitive Soul and Mindset Coach, and I'm so excited for my LeimomiTV interview series where I'm sharing amazing six-figure, seven-figure entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things, helping the world, sharing their message in the world. And today I'm here with Sharon Holand Gelfand. I hope I said your name right. And we're going to be talking about the importance of taking care of yourself. She is a functional nutritionist. So this is really exciting for me because I love hearing about, how to help people with their health as well. Because of course I help people with soul and business alignment. And so we talk a lot about like spiritual stuff in business, but it's really cool to talk to someone who really knows about nutrition and doing really well in your body and using your body as your temple. So Sharon, tell us more about who you are, what you do, how did you become a master genius at what you do, and why has that been a key important thing of what you're doing and sharing your message into the world?
Well, first, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. And it's so interesting that you talk about, the soul alignment, because in anything that we do, it's our health and our life is so many pieces of the pie. And nutrition is just one component, but so many people really kind of separate things out and compartmentalize. And we need to bring it all together if we're really going to be complete and whole and bring our purpose and our mission to our audiences. And years ago, I never would have thought like this. I was a banker. I was like black and white. I had like the blinders on, doing what I was supposed to do. I was the good daughter, the good everything, the good wife. And my body was falling apart. And I just wasn't listening to any of the signs because I just thought I was normal. I thought I was getting older. I thought, well, this happens to everybody. But I was getting migraines that I was taking image trick shots for. I had a pituitary adenoma that I was on medication for. I was taking antacids for IBS. I mean, that's just like part of the list of everything that was falling apart. And I was fine. I was healthy. And most of us kind of think that way because we're too busy with life. We're too busy taking care of other people, or if we have kids, we have, with that, taking care of maybe our parents, our jobs. And then about 12 years ago, one of my kids was diagnosed with Crohn's, which is an autoimmune disease, and I knew nothing about it, nothing. And my son heard disease, and he thought he was going to die. And in that moment, it was like I just did this mental check of what I needed to figure out. But I'll never forget asking the doctor, what about food? Because she was explaining how it's in the intestines. And I said, what about food? And she goes, don't worry about the food. The medicine will help him. And for a split second, I felt my body kind of like tighten and my intuition saying something's wrong. But in the moment, you push that aside. And I was like, all right, listen to the doctor. She knows what she's talking about. Put him on the medication. Within a week, my son was complaining that he was getting worse. And he insisted that it was the medication. And I called the doctor and she insisted that it was the disease. And I was torn and stuck in the middle. And I heard this voice saying, like, why aren't you listening to your son? Why? Because he's a kid. And kids are actually so in tune with their bodies. They're so attuned to what's going on. They're not like jaded by all this society and rules yet. And thankfully, I listened to him because he was right. It was the medicine. And don't get me wrong, he did need medicine, but he just needed a different one that was better for him. But it was in that moment that I then tuned into myself and thought, oh my God, what don't I know? What do I need to know? Led me down, oh my God, this like 180-degree career trajectory change, back to grad school to get a master's in nutrition, to become a functional nutritionist. But really, I was doing this to help my son because I just wanted answers and I wasn't getting them. It's like you go on Google and it's like, oh, Dr. Google. 5 hours later, it's just like, what the heck? It's like I had such a headache myself. I'm like, I don't know who to believe. I don't know what to do here. And during that whole process of learning and switching the foods that we were eating, paying attention to ourselves, trusting our guts, so to speak, I realized that so many of the issues that I had started to go away. And when I started to connect the dots, it was really this like epiphany of, oh my God, how did I not know this? And if I can help others do that and start putting the pieces together and understand and get to the root of what's going on in their guts, it's like, I feel like you get your life back. Because then when you get your life back and you can spend more time spiritually building your business, doing what you want to do, the world is a different place. Everything you look at is much more vivid because now you're connected to yourself. And it's just been amazing. And as you and I were just talking before this recording, it just keeps evolving into layers that go deeper and deeper of this awareness that we're all craving, this connection. But it starts with you, your body, it's your temple. And you have to understand what's going on. So working functionally and doing testing to get to that root helps me to guide my clients and people to have a roadmap so that they know what to do, where to go, and find the right tools for their lifestyle, because not everybody's the same. There are foods that you may love that are terrible for my body, even though they're healthy, and vice versa. So it's really tuning in to what's right for you so that it fits your lifestyle, so that you don't have to diet, you don't have to count calories, you can enjoy life, you can find your purpose of what you're supposed to do, because now you've cleared that connection, you've gotten rid of all the junk, and now your brain, like, you can download the information that you need for your spiritual journey of whatever that means for you. And it's just amazing.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your story. I mean, it's quite incredible how, you've come from, oh my God, what's happening with my son, and feeling so disempowered about it, and then changing that around to go, oh wow, this is actually a bigger purpose that I would like to share out with the world. And I think that's kind of how your genius sort of turns out, right? Like, you don't expect it to be that specific thing, but through that journey, you realize, wow, it is very important. Nutrition is important. It is changing your lifestyle. It's very important. And then everything else kind of unfolds and expands from that, rather than, oh, we should follow what the doctors say, and oh, we should like have that 9-to-5 job that you really hated and didn't want to focus on.
Right. And it's so funny that you say that, because I had a 9-to-5 job and I hated it. I hated my job, but I was really good at it. And I kept thinking there's got to be something more. Now I don't have a 9-to-5 job, but I feel like I work more, but I love what I do. So it doesn't feel like it's bondage. It's just, you're right. You're definitely right about that. And I think our genius, when we're given the space to look at it and have the right support and comfort or safety net, it makes it so much easier to know that somebody's got your back, and so that it helps to propel you forward, for sure.
Beautiful. So when you were growing up as a child, like, what lit you up? Like, how does that play into who you have become today? I'm sure like this major story helped you go, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to get out of my job. I want to really help my family. But like, now when you look back and go like, wow, I actually did like this stuff. Or, what was it like that for you as a child? Like, what lit you up back then as well?
That's such a great question. And actually before, when I got all the questions and I read that, I thought, wow, I hadn't really thought about that. And interestingly, when I was younger, I used to actually get a lot of like deja vu moments, when things happen, you're like, God, that seems so familiar. And I just remember there was this bookmobile from the library that would come, a portable library to our neighborhood. And I couldn't wait to go to the bookmobile. I couldn't wait to get books out on, you're going to laugh, but on like witches and, ESP and all these mystical things, because I always just felt like something that was different. And back then there was no computer. I mean, this is dating back a few decades. It's like before internet. But I was just so connected to something that I couldn't put my finger on, but that wasn't like normal that my friends were doing. And I always loved, so that was one thing that was like that spiritual world that I was always attracted to. And then I always loved playing school, and I loved being the teacher. And I don't know why, I just did. I don't know what I taught, but now, and those things lit me up. But now, and so now it's kind of like, oh my God, I kind of do that, right? Because I teach, I'm educating, I do workshops, I speak, I help my, people. And so much of it now is opening into that spiritual side that it's kind of like, wow, it's coming full circle. So when we're young and we have these things that we love that light us up, it's so important for us to let our kids do that. And because they know, right? Like, and so it's really interesting to kind of circle back to that now and realize, holy cow, like, imagine what my life would have been like if I had followed that at that time. But then again, I wouldn't change anything because I love who I am now. And my son's diagnosis was a blessing in disguise. And thankfully he's okay. But sometimes you need a big wake-up call to really shake up your life and make you realize, what am I doing?
That's true. We end up in situations that are very painful. And through that pain is actually how we really stand for what we really believe in, right? Like, that was a very clear message. Like, don't follow what everybody says, but like, follow your gut, follow what felt right. And choosing that, like, I'm sure that was not easy to choose, right? Like, hey, there's a different side of the coin here. Like, I should check this out, right? So
Right.
share a little bit more about, maybe a vulnerable story about your life and business. Like, what did it feel like being misaligned, right? When you were in that corporate world, like, how did you get back into alignment?
Oh, wow. Another great question. I felt like I was a robot. It's like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I was meeting with clients. I was a commercial lender. I was always just like numbers. 1 + 1 is always going to equal 2. And it was so boring. And I was getting disconnected from myself and kind of shutting down. And I think that's when things happen. So, it's like you start internalizing, and that's when my body started falling apart. And even getting married, and I'm divorced now, and doing everything that I was supposed to be doing, I felt like I was losing who I was. And having that shift of, I have the power, I have a choice, not realizing that I did, because I'm also first generation American. So it was always about get a good job, make sure that you're secure, make sure you save money. It was just a belief system of the way I thought life was supposed to be. And then when you see that little crack and you start opening up a little further and realize there's a whole other world that you can enter, it's a little scary. It's really scary, actually, because my whole life I thought was supposed to be one way. And if I work hard enough and I take control, if I can control, everything's going to be okay and I'll be happy. And when you realize that your world's falling apart, and for me, I felt like a failure. I felt like I failed in my marriage. I felt like I was failing in my job. I was disappointing my parents. I was disappointing my kids. I felt alone, and I felt like I couldn't talk to anybody because who was I supposed to talk to? Who could possibly understand? Who could they keep a secret? Like, I didn't trust anybody to even share all of this. And it was very lonely. And I didn't know what to do. Like, I was drowning. I used to have dreams over and over again that I'd be driving in a car, and the car around a mountain or somewhere, car would skid and go off and go into the water. And I was always like, and I would manage to get above water. So it was like, I didn't drown, but I was just constantly going off the cliff. And I knew I had to do something because I was self-medicating with alcohol. Not like I was a drinker. It's not like I had a problem, but a glass of wine. once a week, twice a week, every single day kind of thing. And then actually thinking about going on antidepressants because I needed something. And I remember my doctor saying, well, just take them to start, and see how you feel. And I did. And I didn't like that artificial sense. Like it made me feel that I was more out of control because I couldn't control anything. And I actually woke up one morning. I'll never forget this. I have 3 kids. They're in their 20s now, but they were really young at the time. I think my twins were like 4 and my older son was about 8. And my former husband, I remember we were waking up in the morning and I remember trying to get out of bed and this shooting pain went from my neck all the way down to my foot. And I screamed, I saw stars, and I just like laid back down in bed. And I was like, he woke up, he goes, what? I said, I can't move. I think I'm paralyzed. And he said, what are you talking about? I said, I can't move. I couldn't move my neck. I couldn't get up. I couldn't do anything. I was freaking out. And he said, can you move your fingers and toes? It's like, oh yeah, I can, but I can't do anything else. So went to the hospital, spent the whole day in the hospital, MRIs and CAT scans and all this. And I had a pinched nerve that had created this. And it was kind of like, to me, rock bottom of my body falling apart because my world was falling apart. And because I didn't know how to handle it, I didn't know what to do because I was supposed to be strong and tough, I crumbled on the inside and my body fell apart. And it was devastating because I really felt lost. And that's why I was having those dreams of falling off the cliff and falling off the cliff. And I went to Landmark. Are you familiar with Landmark Education?
Mm-hmm. I've heard of it.
And it was like a big wake-up call of like, wow, I can do something. I could shift. I can change things. And it was a few years after that, as I started to change, and then my son was diagnosed, that I felt like the universe, I felt like I was finally listening to what the universe was telling me. And this happened when I was around 38. So we're talking many, many years of feeling this from childhood, because you don't know what you don't know. And I think that's, that was like, wow, I can't believe I've shared bits and pieces, but I don't think I've ever vomited it like I just did now.
So that was the wake-up call, right? That was the, hey, oh my God, I am really, truly misaligned.
Yeah.
And like, I have to take responsibility and change this whole thing around, right? Because I'm sure after that, you were like, wow, let's go on a spiritual journey. Oh, let me find these answers within me. And going from outside to like within yourself and go, wow, this is what it's really about. Deeply doing personal development, spiritual development, looking what is inside of myself that wants to be shared through that experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then just making different decisions from there, right? Because I'm sure you had like bills to pay, so many things that like needed to be addressed that maybe you were running away from, and just numbing yourself with the alcohol, or numbing yourself from feeling the actual pain of that misalignment.
Yeah. Yeah. And the universe sends you signs over and over and over, right? First it's pebbles, then it's rocks. And then it was like the bricks that were hitting me that took me to the hospital. It's like, it's, it does. It's so, I see that. I'm right. You do also. It's like, I see that all around. And even when I try to help friends, when they're sharing stories, you can only bring a person, like show them the door, right? Or open the door, but you have to be the one to walk through it. It's because we all have our own journey. But the universe definitely sends us those signals over and over and over until something major happens that's going to create that shift so that we can tune in, right? You're right. Not look externally, but tune in and realize we have the answers. It's right inside of us. We just have to be able to trust it again and connect to it and know that it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. So I'm sure like you were at the point like you just gave up, right? So like what, like when you're really feeling this way and when it gets really hard, when you're really feeling like giving up, like what keeps you going? Like what needed to come out of you each time? What kind of experiences helped you to go like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to go for this.
Well, a couple of things. I think part of the fact that my mom's a Holocaust survivor helps me be a survivor. Like, well, if she can survive, this is nothing. And then I also look at every day. I always do this at the morning. Like I bookend my day where I start my morning of just thinking of three things that I really appreciate. And at the end of the day, I think of three great things that happened, even if it's a lousy day, because no matter what, something will happen during the day. I'll see somebody in a wheelchair, an amputee, a blind person, or even the sirens of a police car that reminds me, you've got it pretty good. You know, focus on what you have, because there are a lot of people who are worse off. I have a friend who's struggling with multiple myeloma. I am so thankful that I have my health. And when I get down, those are the things and the thoughts that I really stop myself. And there are times also, I have to tell you, where I just don't do anything. And I used to feel guilty about this because I always felt like I've got to be producing, right? In production, working. But I've started listening to my body, and on occasion, I will take a day and I just won't even, I'll be in my pajamas all day and I'll either read, sleep, binge watch something and just have a day for me where I don't even leave my apartment because I need that too. Sometimes it's going out to be outside. I'm looking out the window right now, even though it's getting dark, and just being in nature. So I'm really actively looking for ways to pull me up, to remind me of how far I've come and that it's a journey and that you never arrive and it's okay. You know, it's, there are some weeks that are great. And then, and then all of a sudden it'll be like 180 degree, like, wait a second, I just felt so great yesterday. Why am I feeling so lousy today? Right. And the first thing you want to do is get down on yourself. It's like, snap out of it. But sometimes you have to allow that process and realize, all right, breathe through it, give yourself some time, be kind, but not too much time, then just jump back on. And it's a work in progress. Well, you know, it's definitely a work in progress.
For sure. So when you work with a client or work with someone, you know, having those health issues or having the changes that they need to do in their lifestyle, maybe can you walk us through like what you do, like to help them through that process?
Mm-hmm. The first thing is always just a conversation, because I always want to make sure that we're the right fit and that we're aligned, and maybe you're looking for something that I can't provide, and I don't want, it has to be a very transparent and aligned relationship. So there's a lot of questions that I ask to see where they're at and why it's important to them. And what would happen if they don't work with me, or if they don't make that change? What does their life look like a year from now, 5 years from now? You know, what is that biggest struggle that they have, and how often is it affecting them? Is it daily? Is it once a week? And how long has it been going on? And then really the most important question is why, and why now, and why with me? And then once we determine that it's a great fit, and I hear the answers, that I know this person is like a 9 or a 10 and is really ready for that next level change, because it's always about the lifestyle. Because if the person's just like, you know, I just need to lose 10 pounds, I want to fit into my bikini, I'll say, that's wonderful. There's plenty of programs and I'll direct them, because that's not what I'm about. It's about the lifestyle. Then from there, because it always starts in the gut, we have a war going on in our gut, because it's like a second brain. And it communicates with our first brain through this vagus nerve. So I do testing. I do specific gut testing. It's functional testing. For some women, I might do hormone testing, men too. And then with the results and the questionnaire, then we work together for 5-6 months, where you do the testing, you fill out the questionnaire, you fill out your food journal, we talk about your life. We talk about work and relationships and money and stress because, again, it's not just about the food. It's just a small slice of the pie. You have to look at all the components of what's working. And then, especially when it comes to food, the emotional connection, the comfort of from childhood. So then it's like connecting, like why you eat, why you binge, why you do things, because it all comes from our childhood, and helping them navigate through it. And it's a process because unless somebody has a specific sensitivity to like gluten, I mean, there are certain foods that I'll say, listen, you should have this, not have that. It's always about, tell me about your lifestyle. Do you eat out a lot? What do you like to eat? Do you like to cook? And it's about fitting in to what works with you. I do have clients who'll be like, I want to change it all right now. Great. But then I have a lot of clients where it's so much and it's scary to let go and to make these changes. So it's more about shifting the mindset and bringing things in slowly so that it works with your lifestyle. And then when we get the results back from these tests, it's also about what protocol you need to heal. Let's say you have a parasite or H. pylori, or you've got a yeast or something, or your hormones are off. Then it's like, okay, here are other things we need to do. Let's put you on a specific path so that you have your GPS, you have your map, and then I'm there to offer that support and guidance and help you tweak things along the way so that it fits your lifestyle, because I don't want you to need me the rest of your life. I want to give you your life back. And that's the goal.
Beautiful. That's so important to allow the process to unfold. I mean, it sounds like when you go into the health industry, you really have to give your client and people the chance to go, hey, this is what I am right now, which is usually some kind of lifestyle that isn't good for them. And then like making all of those different choices, because it's not only about food, right? It's like, oh my God, like how am I spending my money? How am I doing that as well in my relationship? Because I don't have energy in my relationship. And then you just go, oh, see, there's a lot of things that we need to work on. Let's take it one step at a time.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, I just need to lose weight. It's not like that, right? But usually they come with an intention that's not really actually what they want, right? And then through the process, you find out like, hey, actually, this is what they actually want.
Yes, exactly. It's true. It's so true. And that's the beauty. And that's when you know that you've truly helped somebody, because it is something deeper. It's always something deeper. And you've given them, you've cleared the path so that they kind of find it themselves. You've just helped them along the way, and then they are able to, especially with the food, they're able to really understand what the symptoms are and being able to clear those pathways so they can think better. Because if they ground themselves properly with the clear foods, the clean foods, the protocol that they need, then they can think clearly, because now their brain isn't filled with all this clutter. Like my clients eventually stop weighing themselves. I don't tell them you can't, because so many of them, it's like, oh, I have to weigh 100 pounds, whatever. I'm throwing out a number. Why? Why is that number so important to you? And then eventually they don't care about the scale anymore, because all they care about is how they feel in their clothes and the energy levels and the happiness that's in their lives. Right? Because we've just been brainwashed for years from advertisements and all of the media telling us what we should be doing, how we should be feeling, how we should be acting. It's like, enough already. It's like the Matrix, just like you have a choice, the red pill or the blue pill, pick one. And know that it's your journey and it's a process.
Mm-hmm. So how do you define success? Like, of course, you went through all of this pain and you endured a lot, like up until where you're in now. Because this is always an interesting question. This is what I always ask every episode. But like, how do you define that success for yourself and for your family? And what led you to define it that way?
Love that question. It's not it's kind of multifaceted in that it's not just like how much money you have in the bank. Because I mean, I'm sure you also, like, we all know people who have a lot of money and they're miserable. They're just miserable. You know, it's like, okay, great, I have a lot of money, I can travel, whatever. I look at it in terms of my relationships with my kids, with my boyfriend, with my sister, my mother, my friends, my colleagues, how I feel. Where's my happiness coming from? Is it coming internally from me, or is it, do I have to fill it from something on the outside? So success is being able to feel happy from within, being able to, when I have those bad days, remind myself of how lucky I am and how appreciative I am. So that's one aspect. The relationships. Am I able to just be authentic and have the space to allow my kids to share things with me, so that I'm not reactive, but I'm the light for them to find their way. Success to me is having my clients have those aha moments of enlightenment, so to speak, or an awakening to realize that they can do whatever it is that they want to do. It's being able to, wow, like just live in this apartment and be in Manhattan, which I love. It's so multifaceted. And at the end of the day, it's being able to go to sleep at night really feeling good for the most part. I mean, except for those days when I don't have great days, but for the most part, just feeling really good that I've helped somebody and that I've just been authentic, that I haven't taken things personally, like the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, that I've been true to my word, and I forgot what the fourth one is, but that I've really just been as good a person as I could be for me, that's authentic. To me, that's success. You know, being able to just, even a friend needs me, you know, sure, I can't talk right now, I could talk later, being on the phone and just listening. God, there's like just, right? There's so many components.
Yeah. I love how you have snippets of what success is rather than like a very general big one. It's kind of like each moment I'm, grateful for this. And this is what that means to me as success. Because I think we try to put it all in like one word, but actually it is the gratitude. It's the beingness, it's the embodiment, it's all the different parts of what you're doing in your life, and defining that each time. That is what success is. That is what success is. And incorporating it all into your being rather than, oh yeah, this is just what it is. It's a small little moments in your life, and allowing that part to unfold as it should be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it's, there might be days that I feel like, oh my God, I didn't get half the stuff down on my list. Oh, like I failed, right? That could be a thought. Okay, I wasn't successful today. And shifting it to, all right, I got done what I needed to get done. I had a great relationship with a great conversation with my daughter. Like, wow, this is a pretty good day. I was pretty successful, right? So it's looking at it in those ways, because I think it's too much pressure when you look at just this big picture and a generalization, because you feel like you're never going to get there. You'll never arrive. You'll never be happy with it. Right? Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time to share amazing knowledge. I mean, I'm sure everybody who's listening in is going like, I see that. That makes so much more sense. And it's just that sharing about your life. And like what you're saying, like taking it each moment by moment and seeing that part of your genius unfold because of those experiences. Right. We kind of go, oh, we got to do this, and hustle through that part. But actually it's more of taking that part and building it up as you go, rather than like, this is the big chunk, this is what I should be doing.
Exactly.
But let the vision and everything be what it is.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. It was wonderful being and speaking with you. So thank you.
Yeah. So is there, how can people reach out to you? Do you
Ah,
maybe have a free gift or something you want to share with us?
I do. So that you can go to my website, Sharon Holand with 1L.com, and I have a free guide to break free from cravings, diets, and deprivation that really just, I get a lot of great feedback because it just starts with that mind shift of, instead of feeling bad, how to feel good about yourself. So yes, so then you'll be on my email list, and I love sharing information with people. And if someone needs to reach out to me, they could do it all through my website.
Beautiful. All right. So thank you guys for listening in. We're continuing my interview series, talking to amazing six-figure, seven-figure entrepreneurs who are just doing amazing things, whatever their industry is. And I'm just so lucky that I got to talk to Sharon finally.
Finally, I know.
Yeah,
Yay. Thank
we've been
you.
kind of in a circle of similar friends, and finally get to feature her on my TV show. So yeah, in the next couple of weeks we'll have another interview going on, and yeah, go to Sharon's website and see all the things that she has available to you guys, especially if you're looking to improve your health and improve your whole well-being through nutrition, which is so important. Everyone needs to at least know what is the best for them in their body, because your body is your temple, and really, taking those steps to taking care of yourself. This is why I like our topic, because this is actually what I'm as well working on. And it's just so important to bring that part of what we talked about today. It's just like taking that moment and creating it the way that we want to with the lifestyle, and with your health at the same time. All right, you guys all have a beautiful day. Aloha.
Aloha.